Ready to go. We take a look at the Catholic League tournament and make picks for the first annual West Michigan Showcase on the pod this week. I've also got 3 stars from the month of November, so we'll spend some time highlighting big performances thus far in the season. So hit the subscribe button if you're watching here on YouTube, follow on Apple and Spotify, and leave a review if you're listening on those platforms. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook too, if you want to connect and talk about anything we cover here on the pod as well. With all of that out of the way, let's talk some hockey, shall we? I posted a blog on pdspicks.com earlier this week, and as I was doing some of the research for that blog, even I was surprised a little bit, just looking into some of the hot starts from a few teams around the state this season. Heartland obviously kind of grabs the headlines and the attention around the state so far. They're off to a 5-0 start this season. That's the 6th 5-0 start under coach Rick Gadwa so far in his 12, 13-year tenure, however long he's been there at Heartland. So 6 times they've now started 5-0. The previous 5 times that they've started in such a manner, they went on to the Final Four of the state tournament every single time. 2 of those culminated with a state championship, and one of them obviously was cut short during that COVID season in the 1920 season, a year which I had them pegged as the favorite to win. So in theory, you could even speculate that 3 of those 5-0 starts had potential to end with a state championship come season's end. So it begs the question whether the Eagles' hot start to this season could be indicative of how the season could end as well. So only time will tell on that front. Still a lot of hockey left to be played, obviously. It's also worth pointing out it's been a total team effort by Heartland. 13 guys have scored a goal already. Every skater on the roster has recorded 2 points or more so far. That's crazy to think, being that we're just now on the other side of Thanksgiving. The offense is humming. Defensively, they're allowing just 4 shots on goal per game, and that is probably the biggest mind-blowing stat of everything I just rattled off there. You add in an 8-0 win over Plymouth as recently as last night. Houghton will be an intriguing matchup here come December 20th, but the Eagles look even better than I expected them to this season. And I had high expectations for the Eagles. And like I mentioned, they're cruising right now. They could end up continuing on that path up until that December 20th meeting with Houghton that I just alluded to a minute ago. A couple other notes in the blog. Alpena, 5-1 for the first time since the 18-19 season. They won a regional championship that season, and that kind of sparked this run of dominance that they've been on in Northern Michigan. Since that season, they've won 5 regional championships. That hot start, coupled with a young and talented team. Keep in mind, this is a program that's had 2 significant contributors walk away in pursuit of AAA opportunities as well. Harrison Kazabowski and Luke Miller could both still be on this team, given the amount of the eligibility that they still have. Imagine what this team could look like with those pieces included in the puzzle. But nonetheless, guys like Garrett Hamp, Gavin Winterstein, you've heard me talk about them ad nauseum on the podcast. For this program to still be enjoying the success on and off the ice, that is, despite losing some of those key players, is really remarkable. You know, they're 5-1 to start this season. I think that's just a really well done job there in Alpena to build and sustain and produce that success year over year over year in the face of losing some guys to other hockey opportunities as well is pretty incredible. So you've heard me talk a lot about Alpena over the last couple of weeks, so I won't dwell on them too much longer here on the episode. But like I said, if you want more regarding Alpena and some of these other teams off to a hot start, that blog is available on pdspicks.com. One more team I did want to mention too, Dexter, 5-1 out of the gate. This program won just 6 games all season last winter They're now on the verge of matching that win total from a season ago. And we're just, like I said, just now on the other side of Thanksgiving. So it's been a light schedule thus far, but wins are wins. I'm not going to knock that by any stretch of the imagination. And the Dreads they're going to get a great test tonight, actually, at the time of taping here on Wednesday. They take on a KLAA team in Plymouth, who actually just took on Heartland, like I mentioned. So you got Plymouth on the horizon today. Saline will be another tough matchup in the coming weeks. Pioneer, Chelsea. It's not a gauntlet by any stretch of the imagination, but comparatively will be good challenges for Dexter. And so they're definitely one to kind of keep an eye on what direction the scales tip for these guys as the season unfolds. Okay, I also put out my 3 stars of the month for the month of November. And I kind of chunked out the state into different regions and highlighted 3 players from Metro East, Metro West, West Michigan, and then the North region, obviously, as well. And you can check out all 12. Yeah, math, not my strong suit. All 12 of those players on pdspicks.com, and that blog is available for you there. A couple impressive performances in particular that I wanted to call out on the pod. James Albers, obviously, 13 points on the season already. 10 of them have come against teams that either are or were ranked in the top 25 at the time in which the Pioneers played them. He's helped EGR out to its first 5-0 start in at least 13 years. Went back through the records as far back as the Hub would go, the Hockey Hub, that is. And EGR, as much success as they've had in recent years, has never started out 5-0 until this season. And obviously, James Albers has a lot to do with that. So another couple performances I wanted to highlight here. Evan Seavey, obviously out of Trenton. He's just won 1-2 on the season, but all 4 of his starts have gone to overtime. That is wild to me. And he's given Trenton a chance to win every single night with a 1.57 goals against average and a .939 save percentage. He's playing some of the best hockey of his high school career at the moment. So one more here too, Tanner Guara for Sparta. He's put together 4 consecutive multi-point games for the Spartans. They're out to a 5-1 start for the second time in as many years. He put up a goal and an assist in Sparta's 3-0 win over number 21 ranked Sault Ste. Marie. That actually kind of reminds me a little bit. One of the biggest things I look for when I'm putting together my 3 stars is big performances in big games. It's not just about putting up points, but putting up points in meaningful games. 5 points in an 8-0 Mercy is meh, okay. But a goal and an assist in a game against a top 25 opponent, your toughest game on the schedule thus far, that'll grab my attention. That's impressive. So anyways, like I said, 12 guys listed for my 3 stars of the month for the month of November. You can find the complete list on pdspicks.com. And I believe I included the link in the description below. And if it's not there, like I said, I will obviously add it before publishing. So, okay, let's make some picks. And I got, let me see how I want to do this. Because we're going to, oh, no, I need to do this. There we go. Okay, now I'm ready. So if I go here and here, there we go. This is what I wanted to do. So we're going to get into the Catholic League as the playoffs get underway today. 8 teams competing for the Bishop Championship, 7 of them in-state teams. And then I believe St. Francis is out of Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. Seeding, as best I can tell, is based off of last season's rankings. Like I said, I could be mistaken on that. And if anyone wants to correct me, feel free to leave a comment or message me on social media. But nonetheless, let's do a little bracketology for the games this week and see if we can predict how this 8-team tournament will unfold over the next 4 days. You got CC and RGR in this 1v8 matchup. Tough spot, I think, for the Pioneers here. They've taken some lumps already this season. a 7-1 L to number 9 East Grand Rapids, a 7-3 L to number 7 Flint Powers. This matchup will likely follow a similar trajectory. And if this is going to work for me, let's see here. What do I got to do? There's that. There we go. All right, we're in business. Obviously taking the Shamrocks here to win pretty decisively in that 1v8 matchup. We'll keep moving down here. This 4v5 matchup, I like this. Really like this matchup, particularly in the Catholic League tournament here. De La Salle versus Rice. Rice desperately wants another crack at CC after last week's 4-3 loss on Thanksgiving Eve. But don't look past the Pilots here. De La Salle has shown great compete level against number 2 ranked Orchard Lake and took number 13 Trenton to overtime just last week as well. First-year guy Cash Soulier is on an absolute heater to start his varsity career. He's got 5 goals in his first 3 games. Gavin Zalkowski in net. I'm actually taking the Pilots here. The higher seed, yes, but feels a little bit like an upset here in a matchup against Rice. Speaking of upsets, I'm going to go ahead and take number 7 seed Cranbrook to upend Orchard Lake in round 1. This team is deep, disciplined, and has gotten great goaltending from both Blake Tice and Steven Luzell in net. This could be a low-scoring game with the Cranes goalies on one end and Will Keene obviously in the other. But I'm taking the Cranes to win here and keep an eye out for Cranbrook in the future. Obviously don't know a lot about out-of-state St. Francis here, but the Cubs are hurting a little bit. And this matchup in particular is why I think last season's rankings may dictate this season's seeds, because U of D was a top 25 team last season, but graduated a lot of those seniors, not quite as strong as they were a season ago, and now kind of have to bite the bullet a little bit here, being, I'll call it, overseeded as the number 3 team. So I'm actually going to take St. Francis here in by the numbers at least in upset. So we'll move into the semifinal matchups here. De La Salle takes a crack at CC in the semifinal. Excuse me. I think the Pilots can play inspired hockey and keep it close through the first period. Maybe 1-0, something like that, past the midway point. But eventually the Shamrocks are going to wear you down and break through, and may even be a lopsided decision by the end of it, but closer than you think early on. And I'm going to take CC here to get the win over De La Salle. The other semifinal, call me crazy, but I'm rolling with Cranbrook yet again. I think they are actually going to be the storyline coming out of this tournament. And I could see this being the narrative, right? The big takeaway from this weekend. Cranbrook's been good thus far, but if they beat, if they beat Orchard Lake and they get to the championship game against CC and play them hard too, then the Cranes' resume really starts to take shape from a state perspective. Cranes win and get to the Catholic League Championship on Saturday. This game will be closer than people think, okay? This will be the first game in a while that people will see the box score or the game result of a CC game and say, whoa. People expect Rice to play CC close in last week's rivalry game, right? It's a lot of emotions, big crowd. People expect that. A 7-0 win over U of D makes sense. 4-1 over Stevenson, yep, I believe that. But if Cranbrook gets to the title game here, and this is your championship matchup, I like the Cranes to keep this low scoring, to keep it a little ugly, to have good enough goaltending to neutralize a lot of CC's offensive threats. And flip a coin. I don't know, nor do I think it matters whether it's Tice or Luzell in net. Watch this be a 2-1 game late, and Cranbrook's holding on to a third period lead, despite the Shamrocks putting 30-plus shots on goal. CC wins, but this is the closest call they've had in a long, long time. How about that for your Catholic League uh, tournament bracketology? There we go. Catholic League bracketology. There we go. Bring it back to center here for a moment while I get some other things squared away. We're going to kind of continue on with some of our picks here. We'll get into this week's picks, which is week 4 of the Michigan high school hockey schedule. I actually focused this week's picks specifically on the first annual geez, let me try this again. This week's picks are exclusively focused on the first annual West Michigan Showcase. Whew, there we go. I did want to say hats off to the boys at EGR and both Forest Hill schools for getting this thing off the ground. Year 1 is always the hardest. Speaking from my time in the youth hockey tournament business, our goal with any new event was just to get it off the ground, get it out there, go from concept to reality. And then from there, you can build it up and grow it into something much bigger in the coming years. So year 1 actually has a pretty good lineup. You got number 6 Houghton, you got number 13 Trenton playing a game on Saturday. The Bay Reps, Lakeland, both of those teams were Final Four teams last March. That's good competition for the West Michigan-based host teams. So let me bounce back here. We'll get back into our picks. And if I could for a moment, we will go. See if I can do this. We'll go split screen for this particular one. And the first matchup of the weekend, please, oh please tell me this works. Hey, there we go. We got Caledonia and Big Rapids kicking things off on Friday. I think the Scots offense is just too much in this one. They're going to win here 6-3. And after having their 5-game win streak snapped by Alpena last week, the Scots start to lay the foundation for another win streak with a W here. So I actually took Caledonia to get it done Friday. I believe it's afternoon. So we roll into the next matchup here between Forest Hill Central and White Lake Lakeland. I said on the blog on PDspicks.com, this is a sneaky good matchup. Eagles went toe-to-toe with Trenton last week without production from some of its go-to guys. On the flip side, FHC has some vulnerabilities and some weak points that can be exposed. If this becomes a war of special teams, the Rangers are susceptible to giving up power play goals. 8 of their 18 goals against have come by way of the man advantage. So stay out of the box. And Central squeaks out a close 4-3 win here. Okay, we're going to get into another bit. I think might be the only ranked matchup of the weekend here with EGR and Houghton playing Friday evening. Pioneers played inspired hockey in the face of injuries last week, getting a big win over number 14 Byron Center. But this ain't Byron Center coming to town here. Houghton is playing exceptional hockey out of the gate. And I don't think East can keep up with guys like Arco and DeForge and keep them quiet for too long. So I'm actually going to take the Gremlins in a decisive one here, 5-2. We'll keep rolling into a matchup here between Forest Hills Northeastern and Allen Park. Both of these teams looking for something positive early on in the season. Bird Dogs are just 1-5-1 to start. Allen Park still looking for its first win. They're 0-3 to start the season. I think both get the offense going a little bit, and both leave this game feeling good about the way they play. So it's a building block for both teams. But ultimately, I'm going to take Northeast. Whoops. Am I getting ahead of myself? Where'd I go? There we go. Ultimately going to take, I said Northeast, but I got the Jags graphic here. I'm sticking with what I wrote, taking Northeast here to squeak out a win here, 5-3 over the Jags. Apologies on that graphics error there. There we go. Okay, we'll go into the next matchup here. I hate this matchup, to be honest with you. Really, any matchup with Tyler Boynton Fisher in net, I hate. Grand Rapids Christian has some dudes in Josh Hooper and Brody Basor. And I do like Braden Mellon in net too. He's solid in goal. But Boynton Fisher has legitimately stolen at least 3 games for the Reps this season and is capable of doing it on a nightly basis. I'm going to hesitantly take the Eagles to win, but it ain't going to be easy or pretty. 3-1 final here, Grand Rapids Christian on Friday night. I believe that rounds out the schedule for Friday as we roll into Saturday's slate of games. Forest Hill Central and Houghton kick things off. I wrote in the blog, this is a second chance for Forest Hills. It's an opportunity at a bit of a do-over, so to speak. I'm sure they don't feel great about their 9-2 loss at the hands of number 3 Heartland last week. They feel they're a better team than what they showed on the ice on Saturday. Well, Houghton is a comparable team to Heartland, and you've got a chance now at a bit of a do-over. You got a second chance. The Rangers, I think, play inspired hockey here. Better hockey than what we saw against Heartland last week. But the Gremlins get theirs by way of a 4-2 victory on Saturday. How about that? So, okay, we will continue into our picks preview of the West Michigan Showcase with a big matchup here between Grand Rapids Christian and White Lake Lakeland. These two teams thrive in open space, whether that's special teams or odd man rushes and getting up and down the ice with pace. I could see this being a game of 3 or 4 power play goals kind of being the deciding factor in the outcome of this game. A bit of a choppy, chunky game with a series of man advantages and trading power play opportunities. Actually going to take Lakeland here in a bit of a fluky 5-4 type of game on Saturday. That keeps us rolling into a big matchup here between Forest Hills Northeastern and Trenton. Trenton coming over for 1 game on Saturday afternoon. Not going to offer up a ton of analysis in this particular one. Trenton's offense has been pretty quiet thus far, but they've opened up the season with 4 straight games against top 25 teams. That's a tough slate out of the gate. They put up 6 last weekend as the schedule lightened up a little bit with that matchup against Lakeland. I think the offense continues to feast a little bit and start to feel really good about themselves production-wise in a favorable matchup here. So I'm actually taking the Trojans 6-1 on Saturday afternoon. And we will move into a matchup between East Grand Rapids and the Bay Reps. I don't know if Boynton Fisher will be called upon on back-to-back nights, but if he is, I know he's capable of putting together big performances. He helped the Reps win back-to-back 2-1 games on a Friday and Saturday to open up the season. 30 saves in both of those games. He could give the East offense fits in this matchup as well. The Pioneers have grown accustomed, I think, to producing in bunches, averaging 5.6 goals per game so far. So it could be a bit of a frustrating matchup here for East, but they get an uncharacteristic style win here, 2-1, 3-1 type of game where Boynton Fisher keeps the Reps in it late. But East ultimately prevails there. In the final matchup of the West Michigan Showcase, you got Caledonia taking on Allen Park, and let's hope I get this particular graphic right this time. They close out the showcase on Saturday afternoon. Scots go streaking again here, I think. I mentioned that 5-game win streak to start the season. Kaufman, Lewandowski, Simon, Esch. I think everyone gets in on the fun in this one for Caledonia, and they get streaky again, rattling off a couple more wins before big tests against Grand Rapids Christian and FHC when they start to head into winter break. Okay, so that wraps up everything for the picks here. Let me see if I can get back to, there we go, back to the main screen. All right. Well, that actually wraps up the podcast for this week. You got 3 stars of the month. Be sure to check that out on pdspicks.com. You saw my picks here for the West Michigan Showcase. You can go to the website as well and submit your picks before puck drop on Friday. And then also some bracketology from the Catholic League. So there's your picks for week 4 of the Michigan high school hockey season. Tons of additional content on the blog at pdspicks.com, like I mentioned. And I'm also putting together some graphics out there on Instagram as well. So check me out over there too. So subscribe here on YouTube, follow on Apple and Spotify, connect with me on social media. Until next time, skate hard, have fun. I'll see you at the rink soon.